This is probably going to be the most popular video on YouTube. I have been doing Access Consciousness for about 10 years and I've used it to completely change my life, as you'll hear through all my videos. I never stop talking about it. I would say the simple answer is no. No, Access is not going to make you happier. You are going to choose happiness if you choose. And Access Consciousness is going to give you the tools to choose happiness if you choose, because Access Consciousness is an empowerment modality for choice, and it turns out happiness is a choice. Now, this is probably going to be the most popular video on YouTube, I would say. Happiness is a choice. Wow. So you have to know that when I first found Access Consciousness, I wanted two things. I wanted to be good at relationships, and I wanted to be happy. And I literally had no idea how to do either one of those things. I came to Access Consciousness as a sad person. That's how I describe myself. There are happy people and there are sad people, and I am a sad person. In my first bars sessions, which is where everything starts with the Access bars, there are 32 points on your head. Somebody lightly touches them. You either feel like you had a great day at the spa or your whole life changes. My whole life changed. Because the bars, and also because the facilitator was brilliant and used the verbal tools with me. And I got off that massage table and I was 10,000 pounds lighter. And if you want to know my full story, go search my story of change, and Crystal Crawford in my video will pop up. That's my whole story. But I was so much lighter. It was drastic. I felt like I was floating. And so we had processed a lot of things during my session, which is not a typical bar session, I'm just going to tell you. But we had. And the thing that stayed with me is that I didn't revert. I didn't go back to being unhappy after that. I stayed different. And so I kept doing bars because it worked. Because this $150 that I was paying for my session actually created something lasting, which was so new. So was it the bars that created my happiness, or did the bars contribute the space for me to choose happiness? And the thing is that we are so bogged down with stuff that's not ours. What if 98%, it's really more like 99.999, but what if 98% of every single thought and feeling and emotion going through your world wasn't yours? I know for me, when I heard that, it was pretty shocking, number one, and number two, kind of off-putting, because when I heard it, the first thing that ran through my head is if 98% of the stuff in my world is not mine, then I have been doing a lot of shit for a lot of people's stuff that's not mine. And I was kind of annoyed. But it was just true. I was a constant overthinker. I was constantly in some sort of stress about something, this dynamic, that dynamic, what to say to this person, how I was feeling, my anxiety, emotions, depression, sadness. It was constant. And so if 98% of that wasn't mine, I was fucking busy with a lot of shit that wasn't mine. But what if that's true? So what Access Consciousness does is it goes, look at it, find out, see if it's true, ask it a question, ask every single thing in your world if it's yours. Every thought, every feeling, every emotion, ask it a question. And the challenge is to do that for 3 full days. Whew, I did it. The tool goes like this. Who does this belong to? Who does this belong to? Who does this belong to? And return it to sender with consciousness attached. You're actually taking those things that you never question and asking them a question. Are you even mine? I've never asked you that before. I just assumed this depression was mine. I assumed this anxiety was mine. I assumed this sadness was, of course it's mine. Have you met me? Did you see my childhood? That was where I was coming from. I'm of course this is mine. Look at my life. But I'd never asked it if it was mine. So I did. I spent 3 full days in the last 10 years, going, are you even mine? And what happens when you ask something heavy, whether or not it's yours, is it gets lighter. And the lightness means that it isn't yours, because the things that are yours stick around. The things that aren't yours dissipate. And what starts to happen with this stuff is that the energy starts to dissipate. So is that access consciousness making you happier? Or is that you taking some information you've been given and a tool you've been given, applying it, and getting access to consciousness? Now, if you go and you watch my video, What is Access Consciousness, you're going to hear a small conversation about how consciousness opens the doors to healing. Consciousness is what opens the doors to the possibility of you functioning as you. And are you a sad person, or did you grow up with a lot of sadness? Are you super aware of sadness? Did you just assume that sadness is your reality because who else was telling you anything different? Did you go through your life and have so many hard things happen that you attributed the sensation in your body to those things rather than attributing it to awareness of a lot of very sad people's realities? I just want to invite you to ask all of your stuff a question. Just try it. And then, if it changes, take credit for that. Because you just did that. You just applied consciousness. You applied a question. You got curious, and you asked it something, and it changed. That is your ability as a being. That is your ability to have a different reality than the one you were handed and given as your only choice. So, can access consciousness make you happier? No. And yes, if you use the tools. So, deep dive. If you go into my shop, there's a $15 Who Does It Belong To challenge that you can grab right now. Just go use it. Listen to the conversations, use the tool. There's a Who Does It Belong To app that you can download from the App Store. You can use the tool just on your own. The question is, who does it belong to? For every thought, every feeling, every emotion, every point of view. What would it take for you to be willing to subject all this heavy stuff in your world to a question and see if it survives? And if you want more, I do irregular taster classes in infinitebeingschool.com that you can come join for free. What else is possible for you, my friend? And what would it take for you to be willing to live the energy of what you'd like for your life to be so it can show up for you in totality? See you in the next conversation.